Hello and welcome. My name was my name is Alan, and yeah, just got through watching uh, The Last of Us episode 6. This show just keeps better and better. This episode, wow, it is 3 months since Kansas City, and they've slowly been making their way into Wyoming. They come across an old native couple, and just the exchange is kind of hilarious. At first, put your weapon down. Da, 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 da. Joe's telling him because he's got gun trained on him. And the husband's like, he looks at the table and he's like, "Did you fix some soup?" Wife's like, "It was cold." It's just this the whole kind of ridiculous back and forth. But you can tell they don't really have anything to fear from Joe or Ellie. They know they don't have anything to fear from. But they try to help them out and give them the information they're looking for. And they send them on their way, warn them about the bodies and stuff turning up, and sometimes affected, sometimes normal people. But yeah, say your best way to go west is to go east around the river. They call it the River of Death. This is what he calls it. The husband does. So Joe and Ellie take off. They stop at a place for the night. Joe offers to take both watch shift. He says, "Just get you some sleep," but he ends up passing out, and you can tell he's struggling. He the the pressure of all that's happened in his life is getting to him. But luckily enough, Elliot woke up early, got his gun, and took watch. She's like, "I've done checked my six, checked up on high. You know, hey, I had someone teach me well." Like, you shouldn't have done that. After he's woken up and found her standing there with the gun. But they continue on their before they continue on, she tells them, you know, you mumble in your sleep because when he's coming to, he's mumbling. But you can tell things are getting to him. And anyway, they continue. They go along the river, and as they keep going, they end up getting confronted by a group of people on horseback. And apparently, dogs can sniff out the infection because they use a dog to check them. But they both pass. So the group takes them both into their base, their home base. It's there. Joe and Tommy finally reunite. You know, as he's going in on the horseback, Joe looks up and he sees Tommy and he goes, Tommy! Tommy stops what he's doing and he comes down off the scaffold. He was helping uh, someone else do something up on the scaffold, but he comes down off the scaffold and him and Joe reunite, you know, in a big hug. So it's like, all right, he's finally found his last real connection. But yeah, they get a meal, find out Tommy's marrying Maria. Well, they are married. He looks kind of, you know, it's like I feeling like I've missed out on your life because, you know, Ellie's like, congratulations. And Joe's just kind of still. So it's like he's struggling. But anyway, Maria takes Ellie so Ellie can get her a shower and everything. And Tommy and Joe talk in, I guess it's the town bar or whatever. But they talk about a few things. And Joe wants Tommy to go with him. But Tommy explains, I can't. And he's like, what? Did your wife tell you you can't go? He's like, actually, I'm going to become a dad. I'm scared. You know, he talks about Maria being a couple of months along. But he's so scared of everything. It's like Tommy's life's building up, but Joe all of a sudden struggling. Everything seems to be caving in on him. And they get into a bit of an argument because Tommy's like, look, I'm sorry you lost everything, but I have things here. And so after that all happens, they get in that argument. Joe's like, I'll get some pliers and I'll leave tomorrow. I'll get out of your hair. But yeah, Maria has Ellie take a shower, leaves notes. She's gonna be across the street. So Ellie gets dressed and everything, goes over there. She's looking around because she can't seem to find Maria. She looks up on uh, the mantle of a fireplace, and there's a board, and it has two names: Kevin, born, died; Sarah, born, died. Anyway, Maria comes back in, has traded for a big coat for Ellie. Says, I got you this. Make sure it fits well. Does it fit? And they talk for a bit. Says, all right, come along. Let me see if I can't cut that hair. She's like, I'm not going to cut all of it. Just trim the ends, I promise. So while she's busy kind of trimming the ends of Ellie's hair, um, they just talk. And Ellie brings Maria brings it up. She says, "I see you were looking at the little memorial there." And Ellie said, "Yeah, I'm sorry about your kids." Maria goes, "Kid, Kevin. Sarah was Joe's." Ellie goes kind of quiet because until this point, she knew nothing about Sarah, about Joe having a daughter. And finally, she speaks back up and she says, "That explains a lot about him." But yeah, um, Maria and Ellie get in kind of a. It's not really a shouting match, but they get in a bit of an argumentative moment. And Maria is like, just remember, only those you trust can betray you. But anyway, she takes her out to go see a movie because they have movies. I mean, their home base there, the entire place surrounded by a wall that keeps out infected raiders. They keep guards on watch, and the rest of the towns run with shops and shops and livestock and all kinds of stuff like that. So yeah, they even have movies they play in a makeshift theater. But Joe's in the place Tommy set him up for the night, and he's having another moment. He's struggling. He can't do things physically, and he's physically hurting. It's almost it's psychosomatic. You know, the mental pain is causing physical pain. Everything finally crashing down on him. So it's like he can't do things. Tommy comes in, puts a pair of boots on the table. He's like, I figured I'd save you the trouble. And he starts out, he's like, look, I'm sorry I said what I said. I didn't mean, you know, they kind of come to an understanding. But then Joe kind of explains how he feels. He's like, I'm struggling, Tommy. I'm not who I was. I can't keep doing these things. You know, he's like, it's just day in, day out. I can't even sleep anymore, hardly. He says, I'm afraid I'm going to get her killed. And you you can kind of understand it's almost like he's experiencing PTSD. It's so bad that it's causing physical symptoms in him. But he explains he's breaking down and crying a bit. He's like, I need you to take her, Tommy. I can't. I'll get her killed. I don't know. You know, finally, Tommy agrees to take her. Joe heads. I guess he wasn't at his home, but anyway. Apparently, Ellie heard the conversation. She's in her room. Joe knocks at the door. He opens it. He's like, Ellie? And she's like, is that really all they had to talk or worry about back in the day? Boys, movies, which shirt goes with which skirt? Because it looks like she's looking at some old diary or whatever. And I forget what Joe says, but Ellie goes, why are you here? And Joe starts out saying, well, I wanted to talk to you. She says, no, why are you here? You're just going to abandon me too. And so we get a breakdown and argument. until finally, she tells them that she heard everything, that she's like, I lost everybody except you. And now you're going to abandon me. And then here comes the part that hurts. She tells Joe, I'm not her, referring to his daughter. And Joe's kind of stunned for a moment, and he's like, no, don't talk about her. She apologizes for the death of his daughter and everything, but tries to explain she suffered loss. And Joe's like, you don't know loss. Finally, Joe's like, in the morning we go our separate ways. So morning comes around. Tommy comes in, says, he's like, come on. He takes her out so they can get ready to head to the Firefly camp, where the base is supposed to be, which I reckon it's supposed to be like Colorado State University or something. I know the University of Colorado is the Buffalo, so it's like State Tech, something like that. But yeah, he's bringing Ellie out to the stable so they can get a horse. Joe's in there putting stuff on a horse. Ellie sees him, says, what, did you come to say goodbye? And he's like, and he goes, no, I came to steal a horse to go to, uh, so we, so I could go to, uh, go some, I think he just said, so I could go. Um, Tommy's like, I'm going to let you borrow it. Joe's like, I know. He's like, he looks at Ellie. He's like, look, the way I figure it, you deserve a choice. So clearly he's been thinking this over. And it's eight at him. He's like, you deserve a choice. You can go with me. And she tosses her stuff to him, says, tosses her stuff to him and gets on the horse. Okay. So Tommy and Joe say their goodbyes, and Joe starts taking Ellie out on horseback to this university, which is supposed to be the home of one of the bases of the Fireflies. They get to the campus. They talk about college kids going to school and a bunch of different things. But you can tell things are already looking back up. They they kind of healed this rift. And they see the Firefly symbol on the sign for the hospital, on the campus hospital. I said, well, here we go. So they get to the campus hospital and they're noticing there's not really anyone around. One thing they do see is a bunch of monkeys that evidently got loose, so they were test animals. But they were all around on the campus, especially around the steps. But they're noticing there's no people. It don't look like, not even guards or anything. So they go inside, find out that apparently they had been there, but they've already left. They left a packing list showing that they had taken their stuff and leave. Well, they hear a sound, go up to the next floor, and it's just more monkeys that quickly scattered. And so they see a chalkboard with the map on it, and it looks like all the tacks on it and stuff lead to or direct them to Salt Lake City, Utah. So then all of a sudden they hear people outside uh, talking. Joe looks outside and there's like four guys carrying weapons, baseball bats, and I guess they may have had some blades and stuff too, but so you could tell they weren't good people. Joe's like, out the back. And so they try to get to the horse and they get it ready to go. And suddenly one of them attacks Joe with a baseball bat. He swings at Joe, misses, and hits the tree. But Joe was able to get a hold of him and finally crack his neck, break break his neck, and kills him. But apparently, the guy with the stump of the baseball bat he had has stabbed Joe. Joe pulls out the little bit of the handle, tosses it down, and the others are coming at them. And so Joe and Ellie get on the horse, and Joe's getting it to go quick while he's still bleeding. Yeah, Ellie, while holding on to Joe, faces back, firing a gun. So they can get away. But Joe and Ellie are on horseback trying to go down the railroad tracks. Joe is still bleeding bad. You can tell he's about to go, and he tumbles off the horse. And Ellie's like, Joe, Joe. And she puts his hands on top of his wound, and she's holding his hands there. She's like, open your eyes, Joe. Open your eyes. I can't do this without you. She starts to cry. But yeah, uh, that ends the episode. But yeah, I think the biggest thing with this episode was Joe having to come to terms with Sarah's death. It's like he never really faced it. He just kind of became closed off. He didn't want, to have to deal with the fact she died. But you can see the effect it has on him, because after his argument with Tommy, he kind of goes out and he grips his chest for a moment, and then he sees this woman. She has the big curly frizzy hair his daughter had, and it's like, oh, he's almost expecting it to be Sarah who turns around, but of course it's not. It's another woman. But yeah, and I forget at what point in the episode it is, but I I think he's asleep, but he sees himself and Sarah decorating a Christmas tree. And then it goes to another moment where Sarah looks up at him. So yeah, he's finally having to come to terms with Sarah's death. With everything else he's lost, he nothing did as much to him as Sarah's death. I'm tearing up again. This episode made me cry a bit. I'll be honest with you. This whole show's been tearjerker after tearjerker, getting progressively more damaging. It's turning out to be a hell of a show. I've never played the game, but I've seen others play it. It's one thing I need to do is play the Last of Us series. I've got volume 1 and 2 I bought a little while back. And we know 3 is going to be coming out, so. But anyway, as I was saying, yeah, the whole episode seems to be Joe finally coming to terms with the death of Sarah. And then he gets to the point where it looks like he may die. And Ellie's struggling. She's like, I can't lose you. But the next episode will not pick up directly with that. Next episode is what the DLC was, Ellie and Riley. That'll be interesting to see. But yeah, this episode's already been about 35 minutes. I want to thank you all for watching, if you've stuck with me this long. As always, educate thyself. Think, read, study, learn. I'll see you all in the next one. Until then, later.